Hello everyone, this is Jason from Primetime Aquatics. In today's video, I am super excited to bring you a species profile of the snakeskin barb. So many of you asked about that fish when I did the gallery tour. It is the fish right behind me in this 125-gallon aquarium. Hope you enjoyed the video. By the way, if you want to see that full gallery tour, check out the video in the upper right-hand corner. I'll put it in the description as well. Thanks for being here.
So as I mentioned, this is the 125. It's mostly a Geophagus tank. You can see some rather large clown loaches in here as well. But one of my favorite fish in this aquarium, and so many of you commented on the snakeskin barb, the group that we have in here. We've got about a dozen or so in this 125. They moved from a 75-gallon previously. And this is an amazing fish, as we're going to talk about throughout this video. They come from Indonesia and they stay relatively small for a barb. They're going to be around 2 to 2.5 inches. The fish that you're looking at here are pretty close to full grown, and this group we've had in our fish room now for a couple years, and they have been absolutely awesome. Females are going to be a little bit smaller, a little bit rounder, but both of them show outstanding color. And I think that's why so many people commented on the snakeskin barb, is because they were showing such amazing color, as you can see throughout this video. They are a relatively peaceful barb, and so please, if you're not used to keeping barbs and you've heard horror stories about tiger barbs and some of the other barbs, this is not them. These are a very different fish, and I think this is why this is really my favorite barb of all time, because they are easy to keep. They stay relatively small. You can see throughout this video they're not nearly as active as some other barbs are, not as much motion, which can be nice. Now, most of these fish think that they're getting fed. That's why I filmed this in the morning, and so everybody's going crazy. They think it's time to eat. Usually this tank is a lot more relaxed, and usually the clown loaches are hiding most of the time, but this is a very relaxed barb. They're also not nearly as fin nippy as a lot of the other barbs are. They tolerate one another well. The big nightmare, like let's say with tiger barbs, is if you get a smaller group, 6, 8, maybe even 10, sometimes they'll be really hard on one another and hard on other fish. That is not the case with the snakeskin barb, and so you can feel a lot more comfortable putting this fish in a community aquarium as opposed to some of the other barbs. Lifespan, easily going to get 3 to 5 years out of these fish if you treat them right. Like I said, this group is at least 2 years old. It might actually be older. I don't exactly remember. And they're really easy to keep with other fish. In this video, you're seeing some small Geophagus in here. They're not anywhere close to full grown yet. A lot of rainbow fish. You're seeing the glass cats here. I think there's a couple giant Danios in here that kind of snuck in with the rainbow fish. So there's a lot of different fish in here, and they fit along really well. Now, if you wanted to think about Tankmates, a lot of your smaller tetras, small to medium-sized tetras would work just fine. The big thing here is don't keep these fish with semi-aggressive fish. They just don't fit in very well, and they can tend to be shy if they get bullied. So a lot of your neon types, they would work fine with live bears, your mollies, your swordtails, platies, even guppies. Maybe be a little bit careful with male guppies. While they're not typically fin-nipping fish, it still is a barb, and I don't know if I would 100% trust them around really long fin fish like bettas or maybe veil-tail angels. Although I think angelfish would be a great option. Maybe I wouldn't do the veil tails, but this would be a great fish like you're seeing here with the Geophagus or Severums or Rams or Epistogramma if you're looking for like a nice centerpiece cichlid. Again, you can see here we've got them in with the glass cats. A lot of the loaches would work just fine, but keep them in big groups. Like I said, we've got at least a dozen in here. There might even be 15. I don't know exactly. I didn't count them. And sometimes they kind of break off, and some of them will go behind the plants on the other side of the tank. But that's the thing here, is at least a minimum of a group of 6. But really, if you want them to feel very comfortable, get 12, 13, 14, 15 if you can. If you've got a large enough tank for them, that's the way to do it. By the way, if you are looking for awesome fish, check out Flip Aquatics, flipaquatics.com. They have a lot of great fish. They are a channel sponsor. If you want more information about them, check out the description below. I'll have their internet address down there for you, but they have lots of really high quality fish and some of the fish that you're seeing throughout this video. Now the temperatures, they accept a fairly wide range of temperatures, anywhere from around 70 up to around 82, 83. We're keeping them right around pretty close to 80, 78 to 80, and they're thriving in those conditions. Water hardness, again, a pretty wide range, anywhere from around 3 up to 10 to 12 degrees water hardness. Our water hardness, our GH and KH, are closer to a 10. By the way, if you want more information on what it means when we say water hardness, check out that video in the upper right-hand corner. pH is another one where they accept a wide range. And this is where I disagree with the internet a little bit when they're saying anywhere from 4 to 7. In nature, yeah, you're going to see those pHs down into the 4 or 5s for sure. And in fact, if you're breeding these fish, you're going to want to get that pH closer to that 4 or 5. But we're keeping them pretty close to a pH of 8, and they've been thriving for years. And again, look at the color, look at their activity, look at their overall body size and shape. They are absolutely thriving at a temperature of 78, a GH and KH around 10, and a pH pretty close to 8. Water quality, this is not a fish you want to try to cycle a tank with. You shouldn't be doing that anyway. If you want more information on how to cycle a tank fast, check out that video in the upper right hand corner. But we are absolutely no ammonia, no nitrite in this tank. And in all of our tanks, we try to keep our nitrates at 20 parts per million or less. We might let it creep up around 25, upper 20s in the planted tanks, but we are keeping our nitrates in check. This is a really easy fish to feed. Now, we feed all of our fish North Fin foods. We find them to be the highest quality, so they're getting a nice variety of North Fin flakes, whether it's the kelp, the community, the cichlid flakes, the krill flakes. They eat it all. They're not hard to feed. They actually like live baby brine shrimp. I know we're used to thinking live baby brine is for smaller fish, but medium-sized fish such as these will eat it too. If you've never hatched live baby brine, check out that video in the upper right-hand corner. I show you how to do it. It's really easy, not expensive to do at all. We hatch it twice a day, and fish absolutely love it. They will eat adult brine shrimp. They will eat bloodworms, micro pellets, so they're not super picky eaters. Now, the tank size, I've seen some references on the internet saying a 10-gallon. I think that's too small. I think a 10-gallon for the snakeskin barbs is a little bit too small, especially considering you want to keep these fish in larger groups. And so I would highly recommend at least a 20-gallon tank for these, because you do want to have them in groups of 6, 8, 10 or more. And because they're going to reach a maximum of 2.5 inches, I think they start to look really cramped in a 10-gallon. I actually think that's where you could potentially have some problems if they don't have enough space just to kind of spread out when they want to. Now, you're seeing throughout this video, the way we aquascape the tank is pretty typical for these types of fish. They love to have structure, and so rocks and wood, live plants. If you don't do live plants, if you want to put the plastic ones in, that's fine. But you can see they're almost always around structure throughout this video. They're swimming in between the plants on the right-hand side and on the left, and it just helps them feel more secure. If you don't have enough structure there, you will find them just hiding in a corner somewhere. And so give them that structure so they feel comfortable. It's one of those fish where they love to swim in and out through the rocks and the wood and the plants, and it's just a really interesting look. The other thing to consider when you are aquascaping your aquarium, the substrate doesn't matter. You can have gravel or sand. Use other fish in the tank to determine whether or not you're going to have gravel or sand. But lighting. The lights that we have on this tank, these are the AI Aqua Illumination blade lights. And the nice thing about these lights is we can turn down the intensity. And so they're really only at about 30% of their maximum. And that's making these fish feel really confident. So dim, more subdued lights is going to be better for these guys. Now, breeding these fish, there's not a lot out there. I have not bred them. They are barbs, which means they are going to be egg scatterers, but from everything that I've seen, you do have to reach those water parameters that are closer to where they would breed in nature. And so that's bringing the pH way down into the 4s and 5s, getting those water temperatures up to around 80, maybe 82 degrees. Maybe use a spawning mop or some Java moss, let them scatter the eggs, and then either remove the spawning mop or the Java moss and let the fry hatch in that low pH, or remove the adults, because the adults will eat the fry. So there's no care for the fry here. This is an absolutely outstanding fish. They are not necessarily the easiest fish in the world to find, but when you do find them, they're not super expensive either. And so if you run across them, I cannot stress it enough, recommend them highly enough. They are an awesome fish if you're looking for that mid-water schooling type of fish that's going to be relatively peaceful, offer a lot of color. I don't think you can go wrong with the snakeskin barb. Again, if you want more information on Tankmates, check out the description below. We'll have lots of options for you there. Really appreciate you being here, and we'll see you in the next one.